This is the Wrestling Old Head. You have entered the portal of pro wrestling.
What the world is watching.
WWE Saturday night's main event, July the 12th, Atlanta, Georgia, the former home of World Championship Wrestling and the celebrated home of Goldberg. You know, he's from Tulsa, Oklahoma, but Georgia, specifically the city of Atlanta, has embraced Goldberg. And this has been billed as his retirement match. Is this going to be his retirement match? We're going to get to that later. But before we talk about Saturday night's main event, let's talk about all the professional wrestling that is going on this weekend. I cannot remember a time in my life where I saw so much professional wrestling going on from Friday to Sunday. Of the magnitude of what we're going to see in what the WWE is going to put together, AEW is going to put together. I think there's a Ring of Honor event that's going on. TNA might be throwing something. NXT is doing something. I mean, there is so much professional wrestling. And then outside of some of the bigger events, from the magnitude of AEW and WWE and their production and what they can put on, Major League Wrestling might be having a show. House of Glory might be having a show. So much professional wrestling is going on this weekend that I'm not going to lie, y'all, I might even have to detox. I mean, we're going to get overdosed with professional wrestling this weekend. I know all content creators. I know all professional wrestlers. They're going to be busy AF. And so we're going to get into all of that. If you haven't seen the video where I extensively talk about AEW All In, I'm going to have it either on the top left, top right, bottom left, somewhere around there at the end of this video. So stick around if you'd like to check that out, or better yet, just go to the Wrestling Old Head YouTube page. That's, just click my name and it'll probably be one of the top videos up there for you to check out. Now, Saturday night's main event, let's talk about it. There are only 3 official matches announced for Saturday night's main event as of this recording. And I tried to hold off doing this predictions video as long as I could, hoping that maybe another match would be announced on Raw or over the internet on Twitter or Instagram or something like that. That has yet to happen. So I don't know if something's going to happen on SmackDown. Looking at the card, I'm looking at Julia potentially being in the Battle Royal at Evolution 2, and I'll have a prediction video on Evolution 2 as well. But aside from that, I don't see her, defending her United States Championship. So, she'll be in the Battle Royal, I'm assuming. Maybe she's going to defend the United States Championship on Saturday night's main event to kind of break up the card a little bit. I can definitely see that. Maybe her and Zelina Vega, maybe they add Chelsea Green to that and do a triple threat. I can definitely see Julia doing that. I can also see Aleister Black and Damian Priest having a match on Saturday night's main event. I think it's Aleister Black and Ron the Truth Killings on SmackDown, I believe. I believe. I'm not sure on that. So much wrestling, it's hard to keep up. So we're going to talk about the 3 matches that they have thus far announced and see if maybe we can't maybe figure out what they're going to be doing on top of that. Because 3 matches for SmackDown or for Saturday night's main event, I don't know if they're going to fill 2 hours with just 3 matches. I mean, it's possible they can do something of a interaction between Cody Rhodes and John Cena, or there may be a ton going on in the main event. And we'll get to that later as well. So let's break it down. Seth Rollins will be wrestling LA Knight. Seth Rollins is the holder of the men's Money in the Bank briefcase. This match has been built up interesting. I'm assuming we're going to get Seth Rollins coming out on top in this match. The program between LA Knight and Seth Rollins has been building to its peak. And I know LA Knight can really use a win here, but I'm looking at Seth Rollins with the briefcase, and I don't feel like they're going to have him lose this match. The leader of this unnamed group with the Oracle Paul Heyman, the Beast Braun Breaker, and Bronson Reed, I don't know if having Seth Rollins lose would be the right move for the momentum of this group, especially if you're trying to build them up as a serious threat to Raw. I can imagine eventually, and I think we got some teases of that on Monday on Raw that there is a potential that Seth Rollins may not be the leader of this group, maybe even as soon as after SummerSlam. I'm not really sure, but they definitely teased that these guys, although they are both, all three of them are under this group with the Oracle Paul Heyman leading them, there definitely seems to be like a pull for power. Bronson Reed was throwing mad shade at Seth Rollins during his promo that he cut on Raw, and Bron Breakker had a standout promo, in my opinion, really coming into his own, which kind of solidifies that Paul Heyman being with Bron Breakker was not only the right move, but it is helping him find his voice and come into his own. So whatever happens with Seth Rollins, Bronson Reed, and Bron Breakker going forward, I really feel that Paul Heyman should stick around with Bron Breakker, because Bron Breakker, already standout performer, superstar in the making. He's got all the tools, but with Paul Heyman, he can get to that mountaintop a lot faster. So whatever they do with Seth Rollins going forward after SummerSlam, it'll be interesting to see what this group looks like on the other side of SummerSlam, because I feel like for whatever reason, SummerSlam is going to be the pivotal moment where we either see a shift in leadership or this group really starts to kind of come together, get a name, and maybe those teases are going to be stretched out a little bit longer. One thing about that is, if they are going to get a new leader of this group, I know there's been a lot of rumor and innuendo that has been coming around about who would be the new leader of this group if Bron Breakker and Bronson Reed were to eliminate Seth Rollins. I don't know if they need a leader, honestly. But I'm looking at the promo that LA Knight cut with Paul Heyman in the ring on SmackDown a couple of weeks ago. And I'm also looking at the vignette that they had of LA Knight this past Monday on Raw. And I got this sense that LA Knight, and I've been thinking about this because I have been talking about LA Knight going heel for a while now. I think he needs a change in character. I think he's kind of, he's swimming around this kind of familiar character. I mean, it's working. I mean, it's obviously not growing stale, right? I mean, he's getting over. The crowd loves him. The crowd is definitely behind him. They want to see him get to that next level. But I think LA Knight is a heel. I think he's always been a heel. And I think it's one of those moments where him coming into his own as a heel, as a mouthpiece with Paul Heyman and with these big guys behind him, we can get the real LA Knight. And I'm talking about Eli Drake, that type of LA Knight. That's the one that I grew fond of. That's the one that I'm a big fan of. That's the one, Shoes of a Champion, the NWA promo, the dummy button, dummy, yeah. That's the LA Knight that I want to see come into his own in the WWE. That's the one that I think can be a main eventer, can really, really win some championship gold, world championship gold, and I think he can come into his own with Paul Heyman by his side, cutting heel promos, bringing back the dummy button, bringing back that type of aura that he had when he was talking about being a champion, shoes of a champion, that promo. I'm specifically talking about that. So I think LA Knight with that group, I really think that works. Ethan Page is another one that I've heard tossed around. I'm actually all for that. However, if you've been tuning into NXT, you notice that he has been hanging around the Vanity Project a lot, which is Brad Baylor, Jackson Drake, Ricky Smokes, Zeta Steel is a part of that as well. So if Ethan Page were to go to the main roster, I more see him bringing those young guys with him. Ethan Page being a manipulator, that kind of a character. I like that more with the younger guys. I feel like it works more in that regard. Although I wouldn't mind seeing him with Paul Heyman. I wouldn't mind seeing him hide behind those bigger guys. I just don't know if the aesthetic of a weasel like Ethan Page works with these monsters, Bron Breakker and Bronson Reed. That's just my opinion. I think if you get a guy like LA Knight fits with those guys. I don't know any other way to describe it, but he really works in tandem or as a triple threat, in my opinion, with those guys. Seth Rollins, there's something about it. I mean, he's essentially the same character that he was when he was getting cheered. He has the same music. They haven't changed his music, and I feel like that's all by design. They're not trying to transition Seth Rollins yet into this new character, and I think he really could use a refreshing of his character, and I think getting turned on by Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed and then disappearing for a while and then coming back looking for revenge could do him some good. I think eventually we may get Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns even reuniting to go against Braun Breaker, Bronson Reed, and whoever this new leader could be. So I think this match, I don't know if this match is we're going to see like hints of that at all. I'm not really sure. As far as this match goes, though, I really see Seth Rollins coming out on top here. I think this is the match that should open because you want to leave room for Seth Rollins to lure around and potentially cash in at the main event. So we'll get into that a little bit later. But as far as my prediction for the match goes, I'm going to go with Seth Rollins over LA Knight. The other match that they have officially signed for this event is Randy Orton against Drew McIntyre. These guys have worked together for a long time, for over a decade. They had a good feud when Drew McIntyre had the World Championship. I think what we're seeing right now, we're seeing cracks of the Viper Randy Orton coming out. The real Viper Randy Orton, the one that is a loose cannon, the one that really hears his voices. He is doing something, in my opinion, very similar to what Kevin Owens was doing before he turned on Cody Rhodes, which is wrestling with not turning into that older self, trying to fight. He's like Bruce Banner trying not to become the Hulk, right? The Incredible Hulk. He is really wrestling with not becoming that old Randy Orton. And I think for a while it was working, but I think it's going to start to tear at the seams. And I think we saw a little bit of that with his match with Cody Rhodes. I don't know when we get that Viper Randy Orton. I don't know when we get that cerebral killer instinct, legend killer Randy Orton, but I do believe that comes back because his hunger for another championship reign, whenever we get that, I think it's going to be a big moment. So one thing that I would really like to see Randy Orton do is work with Karrion Kross. Karrion Kross is the guy that brings out that type of killer instinct of a character, he tried it with AJ Styles. He's trying it with Sami Zayn. I think eventually we do see a different form of Sami Zayn. I think he does crack at the seams eventually. We did see it with the New Day. We've seen it, with other characters that Karrion Kross has worked with. So I would love to see Karrion Kross work with Randy Orton in bringing out that Viper. But until then, we're going to see little hints of that here. I think with Drew McIntyre, they both actually need a win here. But I think in order to really bring out that Randy Orton character, he's going to have to, go 0-2. He lost to Cody Rhodes. And I think eventually, it starts to wear on him because he wants that 15th title reign for the World Championship, and I think it's going to tear at him. So I'm going to go with Drew McIntyre to win here. I think that Drew winning can help establish more momentum from Drew since he left. The last time we saw him was in a steel cage. He lost to Damian Priest, and then he was out for a while. Now he's back in it, and I think giving him this win would really help him. And I think that also sets up Randy Orton kind of cracking at the seams here and kind of figuring out maybe he should get a little more, dangerous. And snap a little bit. Those voices start to get louder, and I think I would hope that they have Karrion Kross go on over to SmackDown eventually. It doesn't even have to be right away. I would like to see him finish things off with Sami Zayn. Hopefully that match happens at SummerSlam. Hopefully Karrion Kross can get his win back at SummerSlam. I think that would be a pivotal moment for Karrion Kross, and Karrion Kross is getting mad over, man. I mean, I don't know how much longer you can hold back from really giving the fans what they want, which is more of Karrion Kross. And I think eventually him crossing paths with Randy Orton could be some great stuff. So as far as this match goes, I'm going to go with Drew McIntyre, and then I hope this leads to Drew getting up the card a little bit, and then Randy Orton starting to get that old Viper back. So I'm going with Drew McIntyre on this one. And now for the main event for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, Gunther defends against Goldberg. The build up to this match, it's interesting because it's not as predictable as one might assume it would be. We going in, a lot of us, including myself, felt like maybe Goldberg is going to win this. Then Seth Rollins cashes in and he wins the World Championship. A big moment on Saturday night's main event to get the people talking. I mean, WWE is positioning Saturday night's main event to go head to head with AEW's biggest event of the year with All In. I think they need something that's going to get the fans talking. That would get the fans talking, right? But I actually I'm figuring maybe they go a different route. I'm going to get a little creative here, so bear with me. I think this match, people are like, this is going to go 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes, and what have you. I think they need to keep Gunther strong. I don't believe that this is Goldberg's final match in the WWE. I think they've been tiptoeing around this, saying this is his retirement match. They do say it is his retirement match, but if you've been paying attention on Raw, Michael Cole stated if this is his last match. Now, that means if he wins the championship, that he'll stick around. They posed that question to Goldberg, and he said, that would be interesting, right? I get where they're going with this. They're trying to tease that Goldberg's going to win, and they are building a lot of suspense for this, and the unpredictability of this makes it a very interesting match here, and they are in Atlanta, Georgia. Now, I did watch Goldberg talk to Ariel Helwani, and it really felt like he was going to pass the torch to Gunther. So that also is a tease that maybe Gunther wins here. Now, if Gunther wins, then I don't know if winning clean would be the right move here. And instead, I'm going to go with an overbooked finish, and I'm going to say that Seth Rollins attempts to cash in, but Braun Breaker comes out and spears Goldberg. That causes Seth Rollins to go like, what the hell are you doing? This isn't a part of the plan, right? And then that kind of thwarts that cash-in attempt. Maybe it can be inadvertent. Maybe Braun Breaker feels like he needs to take the spotlight and really go after Goldberg, who has a history with his father, Rick Steiner, and his uncle, Scott Steiner, a very storied history with Scott Steiner specifically. Spears Goldberg, gets out of the ring, and then Gunther wins. I think this sets up Goldberg against Braun Breaker for SummerSlam. And I think in that match, that is Goldberg's final match. That is a bigger stage. It's a 2-night SummerSlam event. You really want to stack SummerSlam. I think they're going to stack SummerSlam huge. I think we saw some matches that were supposed to be at WrestleMania at Night of Champions. And I think they're going to turn SummerSlam into a really, really big event with this 2-night event. Because they really, look, their momentum is staying steady. It's not on an upward trajectory right now. And in fact, one might say that it might look like WWE is going to dip a little bit. And that is when I think they turn up the heat, pun intended, for SummerSlam, and they really stack that card. So I think Goldberg is a part of SummerSlam, and I think the perfect opponent for him would be Braun Breaker. So you have Braun Breaker get involved. That causes some dissension between him and Seth Rollins. And then Gunther does win, keeps the championship. Seth Rollins keeps the Money in the Bank, so you don't see a cash in. And now you have Goldberg wondering, maybe I'm not going to retire because maybe I need to kick the kid that is the son of a Steiner, which he has super history with, especially in '99 in WCW. They were all feuding. And I think you get Goldberg coming out and going, I'm not done yet because I got to teach this kid a lesson. And you get Braun Breaker and Goldberg. So I got Gunther winning this. And I think that is the right move for Gunther. I don't think he needs to lose. He just won the championship back. I don't think that would be good for his momentum. He is the future of the WWE. He's a mega champion. They've done really, really well with keeping him as a threat, to keeping him as a monster. And so I think Gunther wins. But I think Gunther is also going to be pissed off that Braun Breaker got involved. I think Gunther also starts to look at Seth Rollins with a side eye, wondering if maybe that Seth Rollins is targeting him and his championship. And I think we might even get Gunther as a a potential face turn as well. I mean, Gunther's been doing a lot of things that I would consider face stuff, like good guy stuff. He shook Pat McAfee's hand, instead of smacking him around again after their match. He gave him a lot of praise. I think these are the things that we're starting to see unfold, where Gunther could become a huge babyface eventually. And now you've got Seth Rollins positioned to try to take the title from him. You've got the stuff with CM Punk and Gunther. I think you got a lot of pieces to work with in that regard, and I think you keep that up after Saturday night's main event and going into SummerSlam. So that's why I got Goldberg, and I think that that's why I got Gunther rather, and I think Goldberg sticks around after that, comes out, tries to go after Braun Breaker. So that's my thoughts. What are your thoughts? Saturday night's main event coming up July the 12th. You guys let me know what you think in the comments. As far as another match, like I said earlier, I think Julia, Zelina Vega, Chelsea Green makes a lot of sense. Aleister Black, Damian Priest makes a lot of sense. You can even go the tag route and have the Wyatt Six involved in something. Maybe Fraxium rather. You can do something in regards to that. You might even see Trish Stratus and Tiffany Stratton do something or whatever. I think there is a lot that you can play with in that 2-hour time period. I think Seth Rollins and LA Knight will get some time. Drew McIntyre and Randy Orton will get some time. I don't think Goldberg and Braun and Gunther will be very long, but I think the stuff that can go on during that match will provide some stuff after that match that they can shed some time on. So like I said, you guys let me know what you think. Thumbs up in the comments. You guys let me know what you think of my predictions. And this is going to be a busy weekend. You guys, what are you going to be watching? Are you going to be watching Saturday night's main event? Are you going to be watching All In? You guys let me know. This is the Wrestling Old Head. You have entered the portal of pro wrestling. And as always, you guys, stay tuned for more.